Let's talk about it right here from
look at this.
Timcast.com. House passes bill to decriminalize marijuana federally, and it was the Republicans who said no. Democratic Rep Jerry Nadler passed with a vote. His bill, sponsored by Nadler, passed with a vote of 220 to 204 along party lines. Republican reps Tom McClintock, Brian Mast, and Matt Gaetz joined the Democrats voting in support of the bill. Democrat reps Henry Queller and Chris Pappas voted against it. I would really love to hear from Thomas Massey why he is not listed among these Republicans. Did he vote against this? This is why I don't trust this stuff.
Right, when framing.
When you hear it's like, Democrats want to make it so that you can have pot. And then you hear that certain Republicans like Thomas Massey or Marjorie Taylor Greene, maybe not Marjorie Taylor Greene, she's more conservative. Thomas Massey is more libertarian. But I'm like, where are the more libertarian voices? Matt Gaetz is voting for it. It makes me feel like it's probably not exactly what it is.
I can guess why someone would vote against this as a Republican. First of all, Mast just followed me on Twitter, so congrats to him for voting for the drug legalization.
Nice.
I think it's a very dangerous, slippery slope if the federal government starts taxing things. That could be what they're concerned about, because that's not a thing.
I bet that's it.
Yeah, and it's proposed that they're going to do a 5% sales tax up to
sales tax is a state level, so now you're going to have a state and a federal tax just for one product. Yeah. That is what I think would be the big concern.
And if I had to
guess.
And to be honest, it's 483 pages, which is another reason.
It should be one page.
Yeah.
Marijuana is hereby legal.
This is why I'm saying I don't trust them.
And Massey's good at finding a thing in it that's like, whoa, you're slipping this in. I'm not voting for this.
Yeah, he'll read it.
It's got stuff like coming through Puerto Rico.
Well, the other thing in the bill that I saw is also it's retroactively letting people clear their records.
That's why I was so for it.
Well, Donald Trump, as I stated, should have granted clemency and pardoned all nonviolent drug offenses that weren't pled down. So some people, at first I was saying like he should let all these nonviolent drug offenders go. Some people are like, well, what if they sold to kids? I'm like, okay. All right, there. I'm not
sure.
Right. So not those people. When they said, what if they did something violent, but took a plea deal? You're right. They should have a review process to go through legitimate cases of someone who was like charged with selling pot to another adult or something. And Trump should just get out of jail.
Like if they had a gun on them.
Can I just add one more thing? If you're someone who is on a grand jury, and the point of a grand jury is the DA or assistant DA puts forth the evidence, and the grand jury says, is there enough evidence here to charge the person and put them on trial? Our legal system, it's not just charge. You have to get those charges approved by a grand jury. If you're on a grand jury, it is very easy to convince those grand jurors not to return charges on a drug charge, and there's nothing the district attorney can do about it. So this is your ability, if someone is a nonviolent drug salesman or whatever, to get that person off and save a life, especially if they're young and poor.
I don't think here's the challenge, and this, I think this will be a good conversation with you, Michael. Are there some drugs that should be illegal?
I can't think of any.
What about like fentanyl?
Well, no, the problem with fentanyl is the dosing.
Right.
Right. It's not like someone is taking fentanyl saying, I want to kill myself. Yeah. They think they're taking, let's say, 5 grams and they're getting 50, or that 5 grams is and then your heart can't take and you die. So fentanyl was sold at doses that people knew and understood.
They give it in hospitals.
Yeah, this would be resolved overnight.
So then, this is why I ask, right? Because then you have the issue of what if some guy is arrested for selling, let's say he's got 10,000 doses of fentanyl, and let's say they're not misnumbered or whatever, and he dishes them out throughout a city. This person should not be in jail, or what do you think?
This person is Pfizer. Right. You just described Pfizer.
That's true. That's absolutely correct.
What about? Do you think there's any drugs that shouldn't be regulated?
What do you mean by? I think all drugs should be regulated by the market. The same way that, for example, if you're Jewish and you keep kosher, it's very important for you that you eat food that is in common with kosher law. Otherwise, it's like a major, major sin. And people don't realize this, but every food in the supermarket has a little letter K. That's right. And the K is not even strict enough. So the people who trust there's a U. That's for Passover. Yeah. If you're really strict, you have to have a U, not a K.
Yeah. What is the U?
The U is like a different kind of licensing agency, a rabbinical licensing agency. So what you would have is, instead of having it be the FDA, who is is largely corrupt and whatever, you would have, just like right now in Whole Foods, you'll have fair trade or the little stamp. Yeah. I was on the plane just now, and the pretzels on the back said woman owned. So if that's something that matters to you, you can look for that label. I mean, the pretzels would not shut up, and they were really annoying.
But the funny thing about that is when it's like woman owned, is that if you are a sexist, you could choose to discriminate against these
course.
businesses. Whereas like if it's
Well, no, the pretzels.
Well, no, or you could be like, well, I want more women cooking.
No,
in
they
baking,
cost
so I'm only gonna
80%.
buy-
They cost 80% as much as the mail on pretzels.
Michael, how could there be a wage gap if there's no way to even define what a woman is?
That's a great point.
Touche.
Who's making
wage
less
gap gone.
per hour?
To follow up on the question about regulation, what you said that the thing about
I feel like Jen Psaki.
yes,
Yes,
let-
Mr. Ducey.
Okay, here we go.
So following up,
As we stated,
Ian Crossland for press secretary.
you said that the fentanyl was about the dosing.
Yeah.
Dosing. So if people were just like, there's no regulation on it, and the market dictates, and he's like, well, he's addicted to it, so I can give him as much as I want because the market's dictating. The guy's pocketbook is dictating what he wants, but it's a drug addiction.
Sure. But what I'm saying is the problem with fentanyl, there's two issues, or any addictive drug. It's the addiction, but also the ODing and dying, right? And that's the thing. That's the first thing to resolve, and people not knowing dosing. So the more information that's out there so people can make informed choices, the less people are going to be dying.
What if it was regulated? Like there's a drugstore that's got all of the drugs, all of them, and you could choose to do whatever, but the store couldn't give you an overdose. Like you'd walk in and say,
You can only buy one dose at a time?
no, like well, yeah.
Well, like aspirin. Imagine like with that. What? Like you only buy one tablet at a time?
No, what I mean to say is there's probably different degrees to which it could be regulated. I'm not saying, necessarily you walk in and they say you can only get one.
Well, they have that. We don't have to guess about that because we have that now. Tanning salons. You can only tan for X amount of minutes. So what they do is they just hit 6 tanning salons.
Yeah.
And they also have it right now. There's a workaround for addicts where they go prescription shopping. So I'll have 4 doctors give you prescriptions and then I'll get them all filled. So addicts, the thing that people need to appreciate is addicts are really, really good at resolving their addiction and getting workarounds. They're good because their entire identity and their entire worldview is about getting that drug.
Right.
So to pretend that they're going to be playing by the rules, as opposed to we have to realize what we're dealing with and kind of work to mitigate.
So
harm.
let's say the regulation is that the fentanyl, for instance, it's being sold by a private legal entity. The doses have to be measured perfectly and isolated as single doses.
Yeah, sure. I think they would love that.
Yeah. So the reason I brought this up is like if the problem is dosing, well, street doses can be all over the place. But if there's a formalized process that the government's like, hey, if you're selling these things, you have to use like a specific machine that guarantees the dosage so that you can't give someone the wrong dose.
But that's also right now in California, like if you go to like dispensaries, they can only be like 20 milligrams tops. So it's got this weird kind of situation where
But I mean like you'll get a pill pack, right? Like you will for, Tylenol or whatever. And it's just like, this is 25 milligrams of drug. This is 25 milligrams.
Sure.
You're not getting 75, 26, 43.
Right, exactly.
It's a.
But that's what the market would have. There's no other.
Right.
There's no like. It's not like you go to buy vodka and one bottle of Absolute's going to be 80 proof, the other one's 10 proof. They're all
Right.
going to be consistent.
But you can go and get, it's right. The market does it.
Yeah, it's a fraud issue.
But you needed a prescription. Would you need a prescription for the fentanyl then? And the people that can't get the
No,
prescription.
I think that's the point. I think the point is you already can get prescriptions for this stuff. We're saying prescription-less.
Yeah.
Personal choice to go in and buy whatever you want.
I feel like they would just buy the 30 doses and take 2 or 3 at a time instead
Yeah,
of
or
one.
get someone to buy it
No,
for them.
right,
they can
right.
work around this very
I'm-
easily.
I'm simply pointing out that you might in the street get a pill that they tell you
Oh,
is
for
one
sure.
dose.
That
and
would
it's
cut back
2.
on that. That's
Right.
a big part of the problem.
That's a big part. Yeah,
But,
exactly.
but you're saying it sounds like you don't even need regulation in that capacity because
Why is
I
my
sup-
phone going?
I
Very
suppose the
popular.
bigger threat is that they're going to be shorting you. They're going to tell you it's a dose when it's a half dose to save money.
Yeah.
They're going to be like, oh yeah, this is 20 milligrams.
Well, that's when you
And
have
you're like, cut
that's
this
when
with
you have
sugar.
that's when you have branding, because then it becomes, oh, that stuff's weak. This is the good stuff. Same thing with any other product.
Yeah, and then
Like the thing with potato chips. Like you'll buy the bag of potato chips as half air.
That's
Yeah.
so annoying.
but
or
you know
more.
why that is,
Yeah.
right? It's not like they do it on purpose.
They
They
do
do
it on
though.
purpose.
Dude, I got an
it
iced
settles,
coffee.
but it doesn't settle that much.
I got an iced latte at Starbucks. It was like 90% ice. I sipped it, I drank it, and it was gone. And it
Ask
was a
for no
big
ice.
cup of ice. Well, yeah, it wasn't
They do.
intentional.
Like
They fill the
ice.
whole cup with ice and then put the shot in the milk.
Mix the
in.
ice with a little bit of
Well,
coffee.
to be fair, shrinkflation is through the roof these days.
Yeah.
It's really funny. People are posting these videos of like boxes of cereal a week later, and it's like they're just visibly smaller. But the funnier thing is when the boxes stay the same size.
Yeah.
And then you see the ounces on the bottom.
Yeah.
Goes down.
I'm concerned about fentanyl. I feel like it's next level. Like heroin was dangerous, but fentanyl.
It's Russian
it's
roulette.
like
It's
what's
crazy.
It's going to be
Have
the
you
next
guys-
10 times stronger drug after fentanyl. And then we're going to be having the same discussion, but it's like you can only take 1/100% of what you could take. And
Have
like,
you ever taken opiates?
one time? Yeah.
Have you, Michael, had opiates?
Yes.
Seamus?
No.
I would describe it as a nightmarish drug.
Nightmarish?
I
Why?
stretched on it and it was useful.
I was when I had a
No,
kidney
it
stone, I was
wasn't
given
me, yeah.
Percocets, and it was a feeling so good, it's indescribable.
Yeah.
And that terrified me.
Oh yeah, good point.
I was like, wow, I know exactly why people get addicted to this stuff. It felt like it's hard to explain.
It feels like all your joints have become removed. Like if your body was made out of like hinges, like they get all unhinged. So it's like all your body's just
I
floating.
see why
I
it
felt that
equates
floating,
opiates
like-
and yoga are
Yeah,
kind of
yeah,
from I think that was all kind of combined in the early years.
I would describe it as like it felt like an energy of goodness emitting from every part of my body. I was like, this is so good.
Timcast sponsored by?
No, I know. I was about to
sponsored
say.
by
Stay away.
opiates.
Stay
I'm
away.
literally saying it's terrifying for that reason.
Yeah.
And so you know what I did? Even though
More?
Yeah.
I-
Yeah. You know it.
tossed them out.
Wow, you could have sold those. Or given it to children.
Suppositories. Yeah,
No. I threw it. I basically tossed it into like I pushed it into. I put it on my windowsill.
Just
and
threw it
later
in my
put
cat's
put it in a
water.
bucket.
I was like,
But then
do everything.
eventually I just was like, I don't want these things, man. Because I got to tell
power
you,
of
man.
pleasure.
Well, it was scary. I'm like, I completely understand why people can get addicted to this stuff. Because it just feels so good, and you think, "What's one more time to make it feel
And
good?"
it's that second time when things just
and then
comes
it doesn't
crashing
feel
down.
good the second time. It doesn't feel as good.
Yeah, chasing the dragon.
It's like
But I meant the addiction starts to kick in hard.
You
after
ever,
the
you
second
ever eat
one.
corned beef hash?
That's him.
Hold on.
You never had no for real.
Whoa, now.
You never had.
Don't
no?
assume.
Delicious.
Well, like the first bite is really
Salty,
good.
yeah.
The second bite is okay. The third bite is and
It's
the fourth
like-
bite you're like, I'm done with
That's
this.
like circus peanuts.
Yeah,
You
it
eat
really
one,
is.
you're like, this is
Yeah.
great. The second one is like, please kill me and my family.
Oh, no. Too
Honestly,
much.
if we were going to use opiates as a species, that's how we should use them. You take one bite and that's it. You cut yourself off after that if you can. Leave it to the addictive human to make that
Ian?
decision for themselves.
Drugs are bad. Okay.
I don't know. The word drug is very weird. What is a drug anyway?
It's a suitcase term.
It's a non-food that you ingest that does something to your chemistry.
It's like the word conspiracy. Like as soon as you hear it, you know it's bad, but it's like it's applied to things correctly and incorrectly.
Caffeine's a drug.
yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Psychoactive.
But
Yeah,
no one's ever like
psychoactive
lectured
stimulant.
me about how caffeine opened their mind, you know? They're like, hey man, you gotta try it.
That's
You're
a
gonna
great
be
point.
like a different person.
That's not true. People often talk about how if they don't have their coffee, they can't think.
They'll
That's
talk
just,
about how their coffee
No,
makes
but-
them better, but they won't be like, I'm enlightened because I had
They're-
caffeine. You know what
they're
I
not
mean?
gonna
That's
say-
where it.
They're not
It's
going to
not
say I
psychedelic,
took a
it's
caffeine
psychoactive.
pill and I met the machine elves.
Yeah,
Right,
yeah.
yeah.
Thanks for checking out this segment from the Timcast IRL podcast. But if you want to check out the full show live, tune in Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. And if you want more special access content, head over to timcast.com and become a member. Your membership helps sustain this company, keep our journalists employed, makes this show happen, and you will get access to exclusive members-only segments of the Timcast IRL podcast, and there's a massive library to check out. So again, go to timcast.com or tune in Monday through Friday at 8 p.m., and we'll see you all there.